I never believed in ghosts, demons, or anything supernatural until the voice started calling my name. I was a sophomore in college, staying in a dorm that had seen better days. The building was old, probably built in the 60s, and the heating system made more noise than it provided warmth. But the rent was cheap, and it was on campus, so I didn't complain. My room was small, one window, one bed, one ancient vent above the desk that constantly rattled with the sound of airflow. It was the vent where it all started. The first night I heard it, I thought I was dreaming. It was around 2:30 in the morning. I was half asleep when I heard something faint, almost like a whisper. It sounded like someone saying my name. Avery, soft, careful, like they were testing the word out. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, staring at the vent. It had gone silent again. I tried to convince myself it was a neighbor's voice echoing through the old ventilation system. Maybe someone down the hall had a similar name. The next night, it happened again, this time louder. Avery, I see you. That jolted me upright. It was definitely coming from the vent. Clear, real. I climbed onto the desk and looked inside with my phone flashlight. Nothing but dust and darkness. Still, the voice came back. Every night, around the same time. And every night, it got bolder. It started saying things it shouldn't know. You're failing your chemistry class, Avery. Your dad hasn't called you in 2 weeks. You sleep on your right side because the nightmares come when you face the wall. I didn't tell anyone. Not at first. Who would believe me? I sounded insane. I bought earplugs, slept with loud music. It didn't help. Somehow the voice always got through. Then came the night it asked me to talk back. Say something, Avery. I'm so lonely in here. That voice, it didn't sound human anymore. Too raspy, too hollow, like it was echoing through a throat filled with dust and rot. I moved my bed to the opposite corner of the room. The next night, running won't help. I know where you sleep. I finally broke and told my RA. He looked at me like I'd been cramming Red Bulls and skipping sleep. Still, he promised to have maintenance check the vents. They did. Found nothing. No rodents, no wiring issues, just a lot of old dust and rust. That night, the voice was furious. You told them. I told you not to. I didn't sleep at all. I kept all the lights on, clutched a baseball bat, waited. Around 3:14 a.m., the vent cover fell off. It didn't pop off, it didn't loosen, it was ripped off the wall. I screamed, ran out, slept in the common area on the floor. The school moved me to another dorm the next week, said they'd look into it. For a while, things were quiet. Until a month later, I got a message on Instagram from someone I didn't know, a freshman named Brooke. It said, "Hi, sorry to bother you. I moved into your old room. Did you ever hear someone whispering through the vent?" I felt ice run down my back. I didn't reply. I blocked the message and deleted my account. But every now and then, when I'm in bed, half asleep, I hear something that sounds like it's coming from behind the walls. My name. Still whispering. Still waiting. I was never one to believe in fate. But after what happened on Route 89, I've had to question everything. It was a cold November night. I was driving back from a work trip somewhere in the Arizona desert. No traffic, no cell service, and a long stretch of empty highway surrounded by flat nothing. It was just after midnight when I saw him. A figure standing by the side of the road, arm outstretched, thumb up. He wore a dark jacket, jeans, and a baseball cap. Looked maybe early 30s, harmless enough. Normally I don't pick up hitchhikers, not in the middle of the night, not in the middle of nowhere, but something about him, I don't know. I felt like I needed to stop. So I did. He climbed in quickly, shut the door, and gave a polite nod. Thanks. Not many people stop anymore. Yeah, I said. You heading anywhere specific? Just down the road, he replied. I'll tell you when. His voice was calm, soft. But there was something off. I couldn't put my finger on it. We drove in silence for a few minutes. Then he spoke again. You should slow down. I glanced at him. Why? Because if you don't, he said, you're going to die in about 60 seconds. I laughed awkwardly. What? He didn't answer. I looked down at my speedometer, 78 mph. I turned back toward him. Are you serious? But the passenger seat was empty. My heart dropped. I slammed the brakes and pulled over, tires screeching on the asphalt. I jumped out, opened the door. No one. Not in the seat, not on the road, nothing for miles. I stood there shaking under a pitch-black sky. And then I saw them. Headlights coming fast from the opposite direction. A semi-truck. Swerving. It jackknifed across the road, sliding directly into my lane. If I hadn't stopped, it would have hit me head-on. It missed me by inches. I sat there for a long time, trying to breathe. Eventually, I drove the rest of the way home, at 40 mph, scanning every hard shoulder, every sign. A week later, I told a co-worker what had happened. He stared at me for a long time. Then he said, wait, Route 89, middle of the desert? Yeah. He pulled out his phone and Googled something, then showed me a link to a forum post. It was a thread titled, The Hitchhiker Who Saved My Life. Different people, different years, same story. A man by the road, calm voice, warning them, then disappearing. Some said they avoided accidents. Others avoided breakdowns or carjackers. But every one of them said the same thing. The hitchhiker only appears to people who are about to die, and once he saves you, you'll never see him again. I still drive that road sometimes, and every now and then, I glance over my shoulder, wondering if he's watching, waiting. And if he ever shows up again, it won't be to save me this time. Have you ever hear a place scream? Not people, not animals, the place itself. It happened to me and my friends 3 years ago, during what was supposed to be a weekend camping trip. There were 5 of us. Me, Kyle, Jenna, Darren, and Nicole. We were college friends trying to do something off the grid before graduation. Someone online recommended a spot deep in the Black Hills National Forest in South Dakota. No campsites, no trails, just raw wilderness. It was perfect. We packed light and hiked in about 5 miles off-road. By the time we found a flat spot to pitch tents, the sun was already dipping behind the trees. The forest was beautiful, but weirdly silent. No birds, no insects, just wind. Jenna made a joke about it feeling too quiet for nature. Kyle called it peaceful. That first night, we sat around the fire, laughed, drank cheap whiskey, and told ghost stories. Darren said we should all scream as loud as we could into the forest, just for fun. So we did. 5 college kids yelling into the trees, like idiots. A few seconds later, the forest screamed back. It wasn't an echo. It was deeper, longer. A horrible wailing sound, like someone being torn in half. It echoed from somewhere deep in the woods. We all fell silent. I'll never forget the look on Nicole's face. She was pale, shaking, like her brain couldn't process what just happened. Darren laughed it off. Probably an animal. Bobcat, maybe? No one really believed that. We turned in early, but I barely slept. Every time I started to drift off, I swore I heard it. Breathing, just outside the tent. Not footsteps, not twigs snapping, just long, slow breaths. The next morning, Jenna said she heard it too. But Kyle, he hadn't slept at all. He looked like he'd been up all night. Said he saw something outside his tent. A tall figure standing between the trees. Not moving, just watching. We planned to leave that morning, but Kyle convinced us to stay one more night. He said we were overreacting, that if we left, we'd regret it forever, so we stayed. That night, the forest screamed again. But this time, it wasn't just once. It was constant, low moaning, then howling, then what sounded like voices, not yelling, mimicking. I heard my own scream repeated back to me, over and over, like it had been recorded, and was now being played in reverse. Darren grabbed a flashlight and marched into the woods, yelling that someone was messing with us. We tried to stop him, but he disappeared into the dark. We waited. 10 minutes. Then 20. When he came back, he was alone. He was sweating, shaking, mute, just sat by the fire staring at nothing. When we asked what happened, he said it wasn't human. He never told us what he saw, but he slept with a knife clutched in both hands that night. Around 3 a.m., Kyle shook me awake. He whispered, "Do you hear that?" At first, I didn't. Then I did. It was Nicole, crying, but her voice was coming from two directions. One from her tent, and the other from the woods. Same pitch, same sobbing, like something out there was pretending to be her. Then we heard another voice, mine. "Help! I'm lost!" from deep in the trees. Nicole burst out of her tent screaming, "That's you! It's calling us with our own voices." We didn't wait for morning. We packed what we could, grabbed the flashlights and ran. Branches slapped our faces. The screams followed us, getting closer, louder. One sounded like it was inside my head. We didn't stop until we hit the dirt road. Lungs on fire, shoes caked in mud. When we got to the car, Kyle looked back one last time. He said something was standing in the trees, tall, gaunt, and smiling. We never talked about it after that, not seriously. Nicole dropped out of school. Darren moved back home. Jenna refused to camp again. Kyle won't even walk through parks anymore. Me, sometimes, in dead silence, I still hear it. That high-pitched scream, like the forest is still calling my name. I work as a night nurse in a hospice center. It's quiet, heavy, peaceful sometimes. Other times, not so much. There's one thing they don't tell you in nursing school. When people are close to death, strange things happen. They talk to people who aren't there. They stare at corners like someone's standing there. Sometimes they smile at nothing. But what happened with Mr. Hayward still keeps me up at night. He was 87, lung cancer, quiet, polite, no family left. I was the one assigned to him during his final week. He wasn't religious, didn't talk much, just stared out the window all the day, refused visitors, even though none ever came. 3 days before he passed, he started getting agitated at night. He'd mutter to himself, flinch at shadows. And once, I swear I heard him whisper, "Don't let it in." I asked him what he meant. He just said, "It's almost time. It's already calling." I chalked it up to confusion, morphine dreams. But it got worse. 2 nights before he died, the call light in his room started going off repeatedly. I'd rush in, and he'd just stare at the wall. But every time I entered, the air felt different, thicker, charged, like walking into a storm. Then came the last night. I was doing rounds at the nurse's station when the phone rang. It was 2:47 a.m. I picked up. There was nothing on the line at first. Then I heard it. Breathing. Slow, raspy, like someone on the edge of death. "Hello?" I asked. Then a voice replied, "He's mine now." I slammed the phone down, heart racing. The caller ID had said internal line, as if it had come from inside the hospice. I ran to Mr. Hayward's room. He was lying perfectly still. His heart monitor was flat. He was gone. But that wasn't the worst part. The phone in his room was off the hook. The last number dialed? The nurse's station. I called security, told them someone might have gotten into the building. They checked every door, every hallway. Nothing. All locked. No one in or out. We marked the time of death. I filled out the paperwork. I tried to write it off as some glitch, some fluke, until the next night. I was on the same shift, different patient. Around 2:45 a.m. the phone rang again. Caller ID, internal line, room 12, Mr. Hayward's room. It was empty, cleaned, stripped of all equipment. I let it ring, then it stopped. A few seconds later, the light above the room flickered on. I walked down the hall slowly. My whole body felt frozen. The room was still empty, but the phone was off the hook again. I picked it up. There was no dial tone, just that same breathing. Then the voice whispered, "Still here." I dropped the receiver and backed out of the room. I don't work the night shift anymore. I requested day shifts only. Told them I needed the change for my health. They didn't argue. But even now, when I pass by room 12 during the day, I swear I hear it, a faint ring, just as I walk by. And once, just once, I picked up. No one spoke. But I heard a second line click, like someone else had just picked up too, and they were listening.